I know you got to see a different side of it on Saturday, but what's your honest opinion on Wembley? Great question. I can't stand the place personally and wish England would play more games on the road and cup semis were back at club grounds. It's not like we haven't got a plethora of great ones nowadays. I know this will never now happen. What a good question. So obviously I'm going to start this by saying I'm going to tread carefully with this because I was incredibly humbled and privileged, as you've mentioned there, Tom, to have been a guest of the EFL at the playoff final. And for me, as a gobby YouTuber who's just basically, I'm a fan with no more credentials than anybody asking the questions or anybody watching this video, other than I committed to doing a YouTube channel and I've done it for a few years. So you build up a platform and, you know, I'm not Sam Parkin, who I collaborate with, who, you know, I always say to Sam, I try and be so respectful of his career and say, look, in one day, pick any one day of your career, as soon as you walk through that player's entrance and, you know, went to a training session or heard a team talk or played a game, you have experienced football in a different way than any fan ever could do. So, yeah, I'm very humble and very privileged to have been there. It was interesting behind the scenes. It's not without its stress, I've got to say, and I understand the guys from the EFL. You know, I had to phone up. I had to be collected outside. I had to go through layer one of security. And this was only because I was accompanied by a guy in an EFL suit, David, who was lovely. So I was marched through because I was accompanied. It would have been much, much harder. I would have then needed to have got my accreditation beforehand, but I could go through. No. He passed it to me there. So I did have my lanyard thing beforehand. And then we were very lucky. We went up and I was shown, this on the vlog actually, I was shown the players' entrance, which, you know, unless you're with the guy in the EFL suit, you don't get to go there. And then you walk through the players' entrance into the holding area. And then, I mean, it was crazy. So you showed your pass to get into that. But then we were lucky enough to go out into the dugout and just onto pitch side and see the trophy. And yeah, to even walk through that, you're just literally, you know, the classic guy in a suit with an earpiece just glaring at you, and every step you take, you're showing your pass in there, you know, and if it doesn't, you haven't got, so they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're color coded, and all the guy on pitch side at Wembley gets told is, right, anyone with red or above or orange or whatever the colour is can come through. Anybody who doesn't have that, no questions, no nothing. They do not pass here. That's your only instruction for the day. You don't discuss it with them. They're not coming through. They need to go and get that accreditation. So it's pretty stressful, actually. You know, when you go to football as a fan, I show up where I like, come in where I like, you know, go and get a cup of coffee or whatever. I'm in the privileged position that people recognise me and come and chat to me. So it's actually really fun going to games because someone will come up and I can have a chat to them about the club they support, which is very lovely. And then to get to the press box again, I had to walk with David, who was great, and he marches me through. And then there was some issue then with my accreditation. And they said, well, you're okay while you're with David, but unless he accompanies you everywhere for the whole day, you can't go in there, i.e. pitch side. And they'd had me booked. I had a table booked. You have a little table with a screen. It's fantastic, honestly. The press facilities are incredible at Wembley, by the way, to Tom's question. I was fed, and, you know, you could just go up and grab lamb kofta, and I had a coffee, I had a Pepsi Max. You know, you have a table, you get given a team sheet, you have a screen to watch replays and things of that nature during the game. Just absolutely brilliant. But again, the guy said, well, if he marches you through, that's okay. But my supervisor, as soon as he's gone, is going to come and get you and take you out of there because you're not accredited to be there. So then he had to come and get me a different pass. And there's a guy called Billy and Sam who was, I've got to say a big thank you to, who organised the whole thing, who's marketing there at the EFL. I'm stressing them out now. I'm like, oh, guys, I'm sorry. I haven't got number purple or whatever to be in here. So it's pretty stressful in some ways, but a massive privilege. And then I hadn't realised at the end, after Tommy Watson scored the winning goal, I saw lots of people kind of exit. I didn't realise what they were doing. But if you walk just to the side, there's the mixed zone bit. And I realised, oh, look, there's the steps where they go up to the royal box. So I got a little bit of footage at the end. If I got there quickly, I could have seen all of those Sunderland players walking up to the royal box. And no joke, there's some security there, but there's no rope or anything. You're literally just 2 metres away from all of them. And of course, they're happy as Larry. They've just been promoted to the Premier League. So that's my experience behind the scenes, which wasn't specifically what Tom asked. But I understand people having issues with Wembley. I mean, I love the history of it. And when you walk the bowels of it and you see all the pictures, which I know you don't get to see that from the fans' perspective of, all the matches and the concerts and the England stuff and the playoff stuff and all the pop stars and the shows that have been on there, just brilliant, just dripping with history. And once that stadium is 100 years old, it'll feel even more. But I'm afraid all of us will be long gone by then. We will have had our go on this wonderful ride that we call life by then. I get why people find it a little bit sterile. Personally, I would prefer if the bottom tier was stacked a bit steeper, because the bottom tier is stacked quite shallow. You're already getting quite far from the pitch, and then when you've got the middle tier where the best seats in the house are, which is obviously a hospitality and a financial thing, then by the time you get to the top tier, it does feel like, the way I've described it before, like you're sitting outside a football stadium looking down into a football stadium below you. So it's difficult, isn't it? And particularly in playoff finals, I think there's a bit of a struggle with fans when they watch their club. They're either in their season ticket seat at home and, everyone knows where the singing corner is and, your way in and your match routine and where you chat to your mates and where you get your beer or whatever pre-game. In Wembley, everyone's kind of split up and no one knows what to do. And you get, in a playoff final particularly, you'll get a family whose kids have maybe never been to a game before, and it's this brilliant experience. And then you'll get some middle-aged bloke who thinks it's his right to stand up all game in front of the kid from the family because he's supporting his team. And it's this mixture of, and it's like, right, I wish they'd put him downstairs so he could have stood with the singing section or whatever. And it all becomes a bit, a bit of a cluster, isn't it? So, yeah, I went to the old Wembley twice. We already mentioned it in this Q&A. Once to see Ipswich beat Barnsley in the playoff final. What a day. And once to see England play against Italy. And look, my memories of those, I was just in awe of the whole thing. But yes, I would. I mean, you can't rebuild it now. And I just feel like the views could have been better. When you compare it to some new build stadium. I was talking to someone about Coventry the other day. Find me a bad seat in Coventry where the view's not excellent wherever you're sat and you don't feel like you're too far away or what have you. Whereas Wembley, I think, suffers from that just a little bit. In terms of cup semi-finals, yeah, Tom, probably you and I are a similar age. And yeah, Villa Park. And I just go to Ryan Giggs, extra time, that goal, Villa Park. And would that moment have been as iconic, Giggs scoring just the most amazing goal in this miraculous rivalry between these two incredible teams, Ferguson and Wenger. Keane's been red carded, Bergkamp, the penalty saved by Schmeichel. Giggs, this incredible player, this incredible goal, swinging his shirt around his head, pitch invasion. Would that have been as special if it was at Wembley than if it was at Villa Park? I don't know. You tell me in the comments.